Welcome to the Thea Lee Podcast. Today is February 20th, 2026, and we are on day 51 of reading through the Bible. And today the Lord starts out telling Moses more instructions for the community of Israel. And he starts with purification after childbirth. So he says that if a woman gives birth to a son, she will be unclean for 7 days, just as she is unclean during her menstrual period. And then on the 8th day, the boy's foreskin must be circumcised. And then after 33 days, she will be purified from the bleeding of childbirth. During this time, she cannot touch anything that is set apart as holy, and she cannot enter the sanctuary. And then if a woman gives birth to a daughter, she will be ceremonially unclean for 2 weeks, just as she is unclean during her menstrual period, and she has to wait 66 days to be purified from the bleeding of childbirth. Then when that purification time is complete, for either a son or a daughter, they will bring a 1-year-old lamb for a burnt offering and a young pigeon or turtle dove for a purification offering to the temple. The priest will then present them to the Lord to purify her, and then she will be ceremonially clean again. If a woman cannot afford to bring a lamb, she can bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons. Then it goes into talking about contagious skin diseases. And it says that if anyone has a swelling or a rash or discolored skin that might develop into a serious skin disease, then they must present themselves before the priest to be inspected. There's a lot of different descriptions given. If the skin has white discoloration and doesn't appear to be more than skin deep, then they will just be quarantined for 7 days. They also want to look at the hair in that area. If it is turned white, later on it talks about if the hair is fine yellow hair in it, or if the hair is black. There's all these different descriptions, so the priests are trying to see if they have a contagious skin disease. A lot of times they will be quarantined for 7 days and check it to see if it spreads or not. And if it doesn't really change and doesn't go away, they'll quarantine them again. They'll check if there's open sores or if there are scabs on it. So this goes on for quite a while. After the priest finally says that they are clean, then of course there's a ceremony to be done to purify them, and they have to wash their clothes and such. If there is a serious skin disease, then that person must tear their clothing and leave their hair uncombed, and they cover their mouth and call out unclean, unclean if anyone approaches them, and they of course must live outside the camp in a special location for them. Next, it goes into contaminated clothing, so mildew is what they're looking for, and so if it's either in woolen or linen clothing, or a hide of an animal, or anything made of leather. So if it's contaminated, that clothing, then they have to also take that to the priest. They will wash it, set it aside for 7 days, and then look at it again to see if it is spread or not. Sometimes they will be able just to cut out the spot from that article, and if it doesn't spread anymore, and if it stops, then they will just patch the article and use it again. But sometimes it's just going to be unclean and they're going to burn it and destroy it. Then it goes into the cleansing from the skin diseases. When they are at the time of ceremonial purification from that skin disease, then they will bring in for the ceremony 2 live birds that are ceremonially clean, a stick of cedar, some scarlet yarn, and a hyssop branch. And the priest is going to take one of the birds and slaughter it over a clay pot filled with fresh water. And then he will dip into the blood of the bird that was slaughtered over the fresh water, and the priest will sprinkle that blood of the dead bird 7 times on the person being purified of the skin disease. And then when the priest has purified the person, he will release the live bird into the open field to fly away. So the person being purified must then wash their clothes and shave off all their hair, bathe themselves in water, and they will be ceremonially clean. They must still remain outside the camp for 7 days, and on the 7th day, they again shave all their hair from their heads, including the hair of the beard and eyebrows, wash their clothes again, bathe themselves with water, and then they're ceremonially clean. On the 8th day, the person being purified must take 2 male lambs and a 1-year-old female lamb with no defects, along with a grain offering and 6 quarts of choice flour moistened with olive oil and a cup of olive oil. So they take this all to the priest for their purification. The priest takes one of the male lambs and the olive oil and presents them as a gift offering, lifting them up as a special offering before God. And then they will slaughter the male lamb in the sacred area for sin offerings and burnt offerings. As with the sin offering, the guilt offering belongs to the priest. It's a most holy offering. And they will take some of the blood of the guilt offering and apply it to the lobe of the right ear, the thumb of the right hand, and the big toe of the right foot of the person being purified. Then the priest will pour some of the olive oil into the palm of his own left hand, and he will dip his right finger into the olive oil and sprinkle some of it with his finger 7 times before the Lord. Then the priest will apply some of the olive oil in his palm over the blood from the guilt offering that is on the lobe of the right ear, the thumb of the right hand, and the big toe of the right foot on the person being purified. Then he will apply the oil remaining in his hand to the head of the person being purified. Through this process, the priest is going to purify that person before the Lord. Then they will offer the sin offering to purify the person who was cured of that skin disease. Anyone who is too poor and cannot afford those kind of offerings can bring 1 male lamb as a guilt offering to be lifted up as a special offering of purification. And the person may also bring 2 quarts of choice flour moistened with olive oil for the grain offering and a cup of olive oil. And then the same process is followed. Thanks for listening. We'll talk again tomorrow.